If I may, first of all, Ian and Rob as well, listen, first of all, congratulations, but I may start. Obviously, I imagine the Queen is a patron of the FAW. If I may just start with, it's been a difficult and challenging week for everybody, but just the passing of the FAW's patron. If I can ask you for a few words on that, Rob, if possible.
Yeah, she's been an amazing servant to the country, hasn't she? And it's been an emotional week watching the events unfold, and rightly so, we pay our respect. There'll be things moving forward that we will do, absolutely. We'll meet up on camp on Sunday, and there'll be a plan in place ready to show our respects. But yeah, an unbelievable servant, and listening to some of the stories from her sense of humour, and what an amazing woman she was, and a great servant to the country. So yeah.
On yourself now, it says new contract, but this is a new beginning. But what does it mean for you? Because you came in at a very, very challenging time for Welsh football, for the FAW, and you've done tremendous things. You've got a bond with not just the players but the fans as well. How important is this contract for you, Rob?
Yeah, I think there was a bit of uncertainty, Gareth, throughout the campaign because of the contract itself. You know, it was up until we left the World Cup qualifiers, which could have been any time. You know, if we hadn't have gone through to the semi-final and then the final. So there's a bit of uncertain times for myself, regardless whether I'm manager or assistant or whatever position I held within that association. So thankfully that's done, and I've now got 4 years that I can plan and look forward to, and you know, you'll see introductions now of some of the younger players as well that I've worked with in the past, and it gives me an opportunity to plan for the future, not only for the next game in Belgium away, but obviously for the exciting World Cup tournament that we've qualified for in November. But beyond that, you know, I'm already looking at qualifying in for the next Euros in Germany, and I'm planning we'll go into place with that now, and I can throw full focus into it.
I'll ask you a little bit more about the longer term vision you have, but in terms of you, because of the success you have had, there's not a target on your back, but people noticed you, and there were, you know, clubs that have been looking at you as well. Maybe how important was it for you to have those discussions with the FAW so you could get the role you wanted to and to stay with Wales?
Yeah, that was my intention from day one, and I've never wanted to leave. You know, I joined the association 5 years ago as the under-21s manager and head of intermediate age groups, and I love my job. Ryan gave me the opportunity to step up, and you know, I'm grateful for that. I wouldn't be sat here today having signed a new 4-year deal without Ryan's influence, so I want to thank him for that. It was an opportunity to come up as assistant, and the relationship I had with the players, they've made it smooth for me to transition then from being assistant to manager, and I want to thank them for that as well. I've got a great group that I work with. I say it every camp, but they've made it so easy for me, you know, and they've controlled that changing room a lot as well.
Final question for me, but I'm going to ask it in two parts, probably two separate answers possible. Your job is kind of into two parts here. You prepare a squad to take Wales to the World Cup for the first time in 64 years. You then, as you've alluded to, bringing in younger players, and there's a future. Euro 2024, and then there's another World Cup in 2026, which hopefully Wales can qualify for as well. First question then, what are the plans for the World Cup? You know, how do you get things ready for that? What kind of players are you looking at for that? And then how do you bring about change? Because, you know, everyone in this room will know there are a number of players who are the other side of 30, and maybe their careers are going to be coming to end in the near future.
It's a long question, I guess.
It is. It was two questions, disguised as one.
Look, you know, we've got 2 games to prep before we go into the World Cup, and then we've got 2 training sessions in November before we go to the World Cup. There's not going to be any drastic changes to the squad. There's not going to be real surprises to the squad that I select for the World Cup. What I'm conscious of doing is showing loyalty to the group of players that have got us there, and rightly so. We've got a tremendous group of senior players that have had one thing missing off their CV, and that is qualification to a World Cup. So there's not going to be major surprises. We're going to go and compete, absolutely. I think we've shown that in recent games against top teams in Holland and Belgium, that, you know, we show them the respect they deserve, but we'll go toe to toe with them, and it'll be no different in the World Cup. We've already had analysis meetings on USA, some footage of Iran that we've been able to get, and obviously England that everybody knows about. So we've already done that. Logistics meetings were going on last week, so there's plans in place already, and I don't want anything different from my players. In the next 2 games is an opportunity to use it with one eye on the World Cup, but with regards to how we play, how we go about our work, there'll be no drastic changes, not at all. We're in a good place at the minute, Welsh football is. We've got a winning formula, and I'd be foolish to change that.
Thanks, Geraint. Rob? Hi Rob,
Hi, Rob.
congratulations.
Thank
again.
you.
You said it lifted an uncertainty
Yeah.
having this new contract. How proud are you now then that it's you for the next 4 years?
Yeah, very proud. Yeah, it was a lot of uncertainty, of course. And so, listen, playing for your country is a massive honour. And I am a proud Welshman, as you know. And captain in your country then was another level. Managing your country is the icing on the cake, isn't it? It don't get better than that. So, for me and the family, it's an extremely proud moment.
And when you came in the circumstances that you took over, it was important for you to establish your relationship with the squad. You speak really highly about the way the squad not just took to you, but accepted you as manager. This will be strengthened, that, won't it?
Yeah, I've had some lovely messages from the players, which is important to me. It's not always about keeping the players happy. You're going to upset players, of course you are. You're not going to keep every single player, Rob, in a 26-man squad happy, of course not. And then there's going to be a half a dozen more that will be really disappointed to not even make the 26. But I think we've just got that mutual respect. I'll always be honest with the players. I'm massive on the environment. I'll show them that respect. I'll treat them with that respect. I want my best players on the pitch on the Saturday, so there'll be a plan in place throughout the week that gets them on that pitch. I'm not one to dictate that they have to do this on certain days and not have players available. So I think they see that I give them that level of respect, and it's worked in the past. And like I said, when I was in as assistant manager, I could have a different slight of relations, more of a friendship with them as well. And they know, they've said it themselves, that I'm a nice guy on the pitch, but when I need to bite, I bite as well.
And your focus at the moment is the 2 Nations League games and then the World Cup. But after that, are we looking at a period of transition, given the fact that there are 1 or 2 the other side of the 30-something mark? Yeah,
they'll retire when they decide the time is right for them. I've not entertained any conversations with them at all. The senior group, not at all. I want them to full focus on the 2 games coming up and then the World Cup and enjoy that, and what they choose to do after that is great. We are planning already. We're already bringing young players in. I'm using Brennan as an example. He's the 12 months he's had is exceptional. Using these Nations League games to give him those experiences, to expose him to the best teams and players in Europe, is going to benefit him in years to come. I want to do it with more players, irrespective of what the senior lads decide to do. If they want to stay for the next 2 years, great, no problem. We'll welcome that. If they decide the time's right for them to step away, we've already got a plan in place for these young players to come through, and there's some good young talent coming through.
So effectively, let's call it as it is, you may have to, are likely to have to deal with life after Gareth Bale, such as his influence and stellar presence. How do you accept that? How do you look at that? Well,
you want your players to of Gareth's quality and as a person, by the way. First and foremost, as a person, he's a great lad. Of course you want him to be an influence in the changing room, but our message to the younger players is, who's the next Gareth Bale? Who's going to be the next one to come through? He's been massive for Welsh football, of course he has, along with Aaron, along with Wayne's performance against Ukraine in the final, along with what Joe Allen has given us over the years. He's one of many that have been so beneficial for us as a nation, and of course when the time is right for him and he steps aside, he's going to be missed. But we're already planning, like I said, to get the next Gareth Bale, Aaron Ramsey, Joe Allen. We're breeding these younger players now to come in and make that transition for them easier.
And finally, to make possibly a role for Gareth after that, given his influence in this current squad?
Look, he's been such a big player for Wales over the years. We'd be open to any conversation if he wanted to stay involved in any capacity when he decides the time is right to stop playing. We'd welcome it, of course.
All the best, Rob.
Cheers, Rob. Thank you.
Lawrence.
Yeah. Hi, Rob. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How's Rob Page, the leader, developed over your period as manager?
I think I've had to change my way slightly. I have, from being a club manager to where you can bring players in to suit the way you want to play and create that culture. I didn't have to tweak the culture at all, by the way, because the culture here that's a massive leveler for us as a nation. It's fantastic. With how I plan through the week, I just alluded to it there. I don't insist that players have to train at this intensity, or I'll go and buy another player in. I never had that luxury. The levels I managed that domestically, but the owners would never give me the money to buy players in. But I could go and maybe do some work in the transfer window. with the players we've got because they're Welsh and they're good players. So I've changed that slightly, where I have a different plan through the week for different individuals, knowing that we want those ready for a Saturday or a Tuesday, whenever the game may be.
I know you've talked about the leadership group that you introduced with the players. Could you tell us a little bit about that and how important has that been to the success you've had?
Yeah, we've done it in the Euros in Baku. And if I was ever wanting to tweak a couple of things with the formation, not our principles, we play how we play. And I think everybody sees what we do from an attacking point of view. If I want to tweak something defensively, how we press, I'll just get the senior group together and just not ask them for to accept the changes, but get them to see what we're going to do. So when we go on the training pitch, they've got it, they understand it straight away, and it's done. And the rest of the squad, the younger players, the rest of the group follow straight away. But at least the key players out there on the pitch have an understanding of what we want to do, and they buy into it and completely involve them in that process.
Because it's been fascinating watching. Obviously, you managed the younger players in the 21s, but some of the seniors you had to develop a relationship there. Was that sort of key as soon as you came in?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think having them buy into what you want to do and how you work and how you are as a person, first and foremost, you've got to be a good person. Treat them right, treat them with respect. I know I've got a great, talented footballer in Aaron and in Gareth, and it's getting them fit and showing them that respect through the week, and that's what I've done with them. So I think the senior group bought into it straight away, what we want to do. I didn't make major changes from when Ryan was here. Some of the principles that him and Albert put in place, I would have been foolish to change it, because we were winning games of football, we were in a great position. I just finished off the job, getting promoted from B to A and then qualifying for the Euros, but the plan was always in place. So having the senior boys buy into how you work and who you are as a person is important to that as well.
You set yourself any long-term career goals?
Look, we're in a good place. Welsh football's in a good place, and we're all excited about the World Cup coming up, and then obviously the development of some of the younger players who I know. I'm in contact with some of the intermediate coaches, and we've got a good group coming through. So it's exciting times ahead. So for me, it's consistently now competing and putting ourselves in a position where we can qualify for major tournament. Thank you. Yeah.
Congratulations, Rob. Carrie Davis from ITV Wales.
Hi.
It's 3 months now since you became the most popular man in Wales. I wonder what that period's been like for you.
Yeah, interesting, very good. Yeah, I don't live in Wales, so I've been able to step out of it for a little bit, and every time I come back, I have supporters come on to me and just say thank you, and yeah, it's crazy. It's thanking me for what I'm a supporter myself. We're going to a World Cup. It's amazing. Yeah, it's been, the day after was probably the most surreal. I was pinching myself, thinking, was it, please, it's not that cruel to be a dream, that we've won it in the manner in which we did on that occasion in front of our supporters, and we're heat at the end. It was just an unbelievable occasion, and I've slowly come back down to earth. So yeah, the planning has already started now for the World Cup, and we have to keep grounded.
I wonder whether anything has changed about your mentality, your approach, the things that you're thinking about now that you're also responsible for the medium to long term future of Welsh football. Yeah,
we've qualified for the World Cup. Brilliant, great. That myself, the players will get a lot of praise for doing that. We can't just rest on that now. There's a plan moving forward for the next Euros. We've qualified for 3 major tournaments. We have to sustain that, and we can't take our foot off the pedal with that now. We have to make sure that these younger players are still being developed through. I'm keen to get as many young players as I can into the first team. We're all aware of the balance of the senior group and how long they're going to be playing for, so we have to try and make that transition and put us in a position where we continue to qualify for major tournaments without some of those senior players. It's a reality. So I've already got one eye on that. We're going to enjoy the World Cup, absolutely, but I've already got one eye on the next couple of years.
And presumably the external expectation and the internal conversations have changed significantly now, given where you are and where you've got this squad to. Yeah,
I don't think we no longer hope to compete, hope to qualify. I think it's a reality now. I think we're expected to now. We've given a good account of ourselves in the Nations League against Belgium, especially at home. That was impacted by the final. So we could be looking at this group not far from the top of it, without the final, because the game against Poland was impacted. My team selection was impacted because of the final, understandably, because the team I played against Ukraine in the final was impacted against the team I had to pick against Holland. So it's a shame that we find ourselves in this position. We're going into 2 Nations League games. We could only need 1 win to stay in the division. But it shows a progression that, you know, we are playing against Belgium, holding our own. You know, looking at the percentage stats, when I had analysis meeting in the week, it was 40-odd%. We've not had that against a top 2 team in the world before. So it shows the progression the players have made and the team have made. So we are expected now to continue to qualify for major tournaments.
And finally for me, have you seen Michael Sheen's speech on A League of Their Own?
Yeah, outstanding. Give them some sugar. Absolutely. It's fantastic. I well up every time I watch it. My phone was going mad. I'd been in a meeting in Cardiff and I was driving back up north, and my phone was going mad. So I knew something had happened significant. And when I watched it, wow, very emotional.
Maybe an invite for him to the camp at some point?
Absolutely. He's coming to the first game with me.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Carrie. Owen, did you have a question? Yeah, sorry. Go past the microphone, Owen.
Rob, congratulations.
Thank you.
You touched on being a club manager.
Yeah.
I think you had a lot more experience as a manager than a lot of people realise. Port Vale, Northampton, the Wales under-21s. Was this always a dream of yours? Did you think it was possible to manage your country? If so, or if not, is the reality better than you could ever have expected?
Yeah, good question. No, I never saw myself managing Wales. Never ever. I left Northampton and went into Nottingham Forest for 3 months and loved it. Gary Brazil was caretaker manager, Jack Lester was assistant, and they wanted me to go in as a first team coach, and I loved being back on the grass with the players and in that environment. And an opportunity to come up to interview for the Welsh under-21s job, and I thought, you know what, yeah, I like being back on the grass, not as a manager, dealing with owners and the press, and it was nice to get back on the grass and watching these younger players develop. So for me to have that opportunity with Wales, as a passionate Welshman, I jumped at the chance and thankfully got the job, and then I've progressed from there. But I never ever went into that job thinking I'd be sat here talking to you as manager, and it is an unbelievable feeling. So it far out the feeling's incredible.
And how do you continue to inspire those players? Because a lot of them are so experienced, they've seen so many things in football. How do you continue to get the best out of them? And in terms of the speeches, we just mentioned the Michael Sheen speech there. Is it something that you practice, or is it something that just comes from the heart last minute?
Comes from the heart, absolutely. I'll do a little bit of research through the week, and I'll pick snippets of. I used Joe Ledley's article in I think it was the Austria game, and I said I picked up on, he was talking about how he misses playing football with his mates. So to him, every time he come on camp, great environment, he was with his pals, and it feels like that club environment. It feels like he's with them every single day, and I used that in the Austria game, that emotion. Just forget about the emotion of the game. You're out, you're playing with your best mates, go and enjoy it, play with smiles on your faces. So I will use snippets from the press if I think it's going to benefit us. Other than that, I just speak from the heart and get quite emotional with the players and make sure they understand the importance of what they're representing and what the supporters want to see when they go out there.
Diolch, Rob. Fully deserved contract.
Diolch, thank you.
Diolch. Any more questions? We'll do part 2 and then we'll have the written press. Yeah. Do you want the microphone? As you can see, since qualifying for the World Cup, we've invested in